Speaker, I rise in opposition.
Opposition, please proceed.
Speaker, if I can summarize, I think a theme that has been, even with those who are for this particular bill, is if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And this has been a tradition, a theme, a continual stream, if you will, of mistakes and oversights. I think the Finance Chair did a great job of talking about the lack of accountability, the lack of transparency, the lack of cost controls. But it's where, when you've got something that is so costly, and you have in the Finance Committee testimony that says, well, when we cut our contracts, we didn't specify the technology and the timeline with specificity, and we had to renegotiate it, and it went up by millions of dollars. Mr. Speaker, I find that really inexcusable, unacceptable. Those kinds of things are, quite frankly, shocking. But I think the biggest thing that I'm shocked at is the lack of leveraging and the opportunity costs that we're paying right now. Opportunity costs are those things that you pay when you don't take advantage of something else. And Mr. Speaker, I've spoken continually on this floor regarding what they do in Hong Kong and Japan. They sell development rights for those who want to build beautiful buildings and make money on it, as shopping centers, workforce housing, condominiums, even hotels. You can't go anywhere in the system in Europe without having some kind of a retail outlet, even underground, or even in Washington, D.C. with the Metro. But as underachievers as we are, as we did with APEC, we got on the world stage, we hit a home run, and then what did we do? Nothing. We just had 20-some nations with the ICU and the International Congress of Conservation. We hit another international home run. What did we do with it? Nothing. So what are we doing with the development rights? What are we doing with private sector money? There's no private sector money that's come forth. And Mr. Speaker, I will admit that I'm suggesting as an amendment that when the conference committees meet, that they make some private sector money contingent upon public sector money. The opportunity cost of not selling those development rights is phenomenal. And they say, well, the land and the titles are so mixed up, we don't know what to do. Well, I would say, as my colleague said, where's the leadership? Where's the ability to coagulate those opportunities and take advantage of that? So, Mr. Speaker, my position is not one more public dollar until the private dollars are sought, and sought with genuine vigor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Representative. Any further discussion on the rail bill? Representative Tupola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can you please register a no vote for me?
Absolutely. In opposition, please proceed.
I just wanted to briefly explain and thank the chairs, thank the Transportation Chair for the work he put in. And I agree with everything he said. And I think a lot of what we discussed in Finance Committee is that this isn't about our stance on mass transportation. It's about what we think about taxes and funding for this project that's had extreme overrunning costs. And so I want to thank the Finance Chair for her work on it. And because we had a 7-hour hearing, we all got a fair share of asking the questions that we really wanted to get the answers for ourselves and as well for our constituents. You know, people mentioned that the general public doesn't really understand what's going on. That's why they're against it. And I would agree that in the hearing, a lot of us were struggling to understand what all the changes are. Why is this overrunning cost? What does this chart mean? What's going to happen with the bus lines? What are we going to do in regards to this? I mean, honestly, Mr. Speaker, for an ask, if it was into perpetuity, would be in the billions of dollars that they're asking. I think I would expect that, you know, they come with a business plan, details, maybe even a PowerPoint binder, something where we can kind of look through and try to see through their eyes, try to see through their lenses of whatever vision it is that's supposed to be cast, because we got to turn around and tell that to our communities. We got to turn around and say, oh, I supported this for these reasons, and, you know, finding out that the city hasn't spent $1 on the project isn't comforting. Finding out that, you know, all these suggestions that people have given about maybe cutting down the cost as far as going grade level or maybe changing to maglev, that's not going to be possible. Finding out that possibly bus routes would be cut, but we're not really sure how we're going to, you know, change things. Again, again, lack of details is where I kind of stood when I left that hearing. And it's difficult, I think, for a lot of us to make this decision. It's difficult for us to even speak out on it. I mean, I'll share personally that some of the men who lead the labor movement are my relatives. They are my friends. They are men that I love. And they've been fighting for this, but yet the presentation that's brought forward to us by the city is incomplete. So difficult for us to go back. And I made a commitment to my community that I wasn't going to vote for tax increases or tax extensions. And I want to stay and commit to that for my community. And maybe I would have been convinced if I saw something so amazing, but I wasn't. I still was very hesitant pushing forward to support something that we still don't really know is going to come to pass. We don't know all the details, and so with those concerns that I have, I know that my vote is not needed to make this bill pass, and I wish everyone luck in committee and hope that it gets worked out, but I personally have made a commitment. I'm going to stick to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative.